Let us reflect about the school of the future. But I will separate it in three topics. First, how about the evolution to the school of the future? Second, how is about today? And about the future. About the evolution, we have the classroom, the evolution of technologies, the evolution of methodologies, about our students, and the teaching process in presence and distance environment. Let's have a look about it. About the classroom, we have to say that during more than 2,400 years, a very short evolution happens. Since Socrates, teaching in the gardens of Athens, to their students, just talking and talking, presenting his ideas and his reflections. Only one very important technological evolution happens, the blackboard. But the blackboard, it was just some kind of talk with chalk, as the British says. But in the recent decades, an interesting evolution starts to happen very fast, like retroprojectors, improving the communication from didactic point of view, and again the projectors. The projectors have rules in order to present with 7 lines per slide and 7 words per line. But in fact, the result is like this. It's a very bad didactic communication approach, which should be reflected and changed to make it much better, much more communicative, sort of under the point of view of the pedagogical point of view. We should improve our communication tools. And about the technology, in 70 years we evolved from a home computer, the Mark I from Harvard University, to a very strong equipment, thousands of times much more powerful, to Samsung and other equipments very strong, and iPads very strong and much more interesting for our students. And about the society, the communication society, we can say that in 2 decades we built up communication society connecting civilizations in real time. But today we have too much information. And about methodology, we have to say that we evolved from behaviorism to constructivism in 1 century. The theory of multi-intelligence and learning styles from Gardner and Fleming, emotional intelligence from Daniel Goleman, and interactivity and interactivity, and the learning from the neurophysiologic process. And finally, social learning and collaborative connectivism from George Simmons. A lot of evolution, a lot of improvement from the pedagogical point of view and approaches in the teaching process. And about our students, there was an enormous evolution, and this evolution are concerning several aspects. They are using a lot of video games, they are using a lot of mobile phones, using TV, and the question is, but as much as the future is today, our students are in fact students of the future. And let's confirm this. They are using thousands of video games. They are using mobile phones, watching many hours of TVs. They have computers, tablets, and many other gadgets. But the best way to know what the students of the future thinks is to ask them. And I decided to interview a student of the future. Let's listen to Anna Maria, 6 years old.
Hi Hannah, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Where are you from?
I am from Portugal, but I live in London.
Are you living in London? Yes, good. And can you introduce yourself, please?
Well,
Know that you are in school and you started in 2011.
wait, I am going to introduce myself for my first day of school.
Good. I would like to listen
Some-
to you.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And yes, so you like to be in school. And what have you been doing?
I'm starting my PhD like my father, my mother, and my grandfather.
Very nice. You have a big challenge in front of you. And a big one.
Like the Chinese say, a long journey starts from the very first step.
Yes. And but you have many things to overpass. And
Blink my eye to the teacher and says everything is under control.
good. But in case you have more difficulties, what are you doing?
Blinking two eyes is even better.
Yes. So,
Did you like my presentation?
yes. Anna, have you been reading what is written in the slides?
Yeah.
So it means that you know how to read. You just know how to read with 6 years old. You are very good, Anna. But I would like to know your opinion about the school. When I was your age, teachers were very serious. They didn't laugh with us.
Already.
Teachers are much more friendly. They like to make games with us and things like this. What would you prefer? Which type you prefer?
I prefer
You prefer the friendly type with jokes and things?
jokes and games and parties.
Yes, very nice. And how about multimedia and video games?
Yes.
Yes, you like it.
Yes.
Anna, another question. When you need some support to make your homework, what are you normally doing?
Calling Skype.
Calling me? Yes, you are calling me normally by Skype to help you. And is it good?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Anna. The School of the Future, you are a real student of the future. Thank you. And my conclusion is that students, they
Digital
model
model learners has different learning styles. They are multimedia content, distant learning.
Yes, you know very well how to make conclusions. Thank you very much, Anna. It was a pleasure to be with you, as always. Thank you.
Thank
Say
you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
About teaching process, we can say that we talked about distance learning during the 20th century, and we referring to the first generation that evolved from the 19th century to the 70s of correspondence courses with a classic point of view, delivering by a traditional mail. But enormous evolution happened during the Second World War. The second generation, it was from the 70s to 80s with open universities. And the third generation from the 80s to the 90s with cassette videos and TV school. But an enormous step forwards, it happens in the 90s. It was called e-learning. And e-learning in a very different perspective, a very different way of expressing, or what we call e-learning. But e-learning is, let's say, computer-based learning, distributed learning, distance learning, web-based learning, online learning, internet learning, and B-learning. But this B-learning is blended learning, but the tendency it's disappearing. Why? Because in 2001 Rosenberg said that the most important revolution in the future, it will not be e-learning, but just the disappearing of the e. And this is the future. And if we want to compare e-learning generations, we can say that the first generation happens in the changing of the century, and it was asynchronous content delivered in the platforms, and just the students should have to study. But in fact, we realize the B-learning was necessary in presence in distance. But the second generation was in 2004 when Stefan Downes and O'Reilly started to talk about 2.0. This means interactivity, but this interactivity, it was asynchronous interactivity. Forums, chats, wikis, and some other technologies to make interactivity asynchronous. And in the third step, it was the evolution promoted by George Simmons when he started to talk about connectivism. And connectivism means people connected in real time. And this means video conferencing. This means real interactivity live. And this changed as well the format of blended learning. And this blended learning means asynchronous and synchronous. And synchronous can be in presence or in distance format, video conferencing and other virtual classrooms. And this is a huge evolution during the last decades. What else can we say? We can say, and I will repeat what Rosenberg said in 2001, that the E will be disappearing. This will be the big revolution, and he was looking to the future. And the future is today. And what finally is e-learning today? E-learning is a teaching process supported by electronic media, distributing contents in multiple formats and interactivity with app technologies, asynchronous and synchronous in distance or presence format. Doesn't matter which format it is. But this is really a new revolutionary approach of view of the future. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm glad to be with you. And make your questions in our community of the School of the Future, and they will be always answered. Thank you very much.